Well, I'm really pleased to be here today with Walter Goodleaf here at Kahnawake, and one of the great defensive players in Kahnawake lacrosse history. And we're going to learn a little bit about his time with the game and his life here at Kahnawake, and we'll share that with everyone. So, Walter, we start out with the easiest questions. What was your date of birth?
I was born in 1949, January the 25th.
The game kind of took you a few places.
For lacrosse, well, I never would have traveled if it wasn't for lacrosse, like to BC, the British Columbia, and the Edmonton. I think we've done Commonwealth Games there. There's New Brunswick. We had a little demonstration game in New Brunswick. So all these little places that I would have never gone there unless it was because of lacrosse.
Wow.
So it's taken me a lot of places.
How did you get introduced to the game? Do you remember the person who maybe gave you your first stick?
I sure do. It's what made me passionate about lacrosse. My grandmother, my late grandmother, used to live in Brooklyn, in New York, and she used to come and visit every once in a while. And she had a brother who married in Aguesasne. So she used to go and visit him there. And this one trip that she made, she came back with a lacrosse stick from the factory over there. And she gave it to me, and I was so taken aback with that stick. It was amazing. So I would never leave it out of my hands. I did everything I could with that stick. I practiced draws, shooting on the house, in the net, the local rink. I just all the time practice, shooting. Learned how to put in a bridge in the stick when I started hooking. I learned how to do that at a young age. Still, this was only about 7 or 8 years old.
Okay.
So I learned a lot of stuff, and that's what made me passionate about lacrosse. I loved the game from that point.
Had anyone else in your family, like uncles or cousins, was anyone else playing the game?
Yes,
in your family?
oh, it certainly was. I had an uncle. He was about 10 years my senior, so at the time he might have been about 18, 19 years old. I was about 8 or 9, and I used to go to practice with them. The guys were all his age. Maybe you've heard some of the names there. Big Al.
Yes.
Big Al Jacobs.
Yeah.
That was my uncle's friend.
What was your uncle's name?
Marvin Morris. He was a good athlete. In fact, he had won the Thorpe Longboat Award for top athlete. I don't know if that was I think it was in Canada, in the Indigenous community. So Thorpe Longboat Trophy. He played softball, hockey, lacrosse, and I'm not sure if there was another sport that he did, but he was good at all of them, and he was worthy of the Thorpe Longboat Trophy.
Wow. Now, wasn't there a famous Morris?
Yes, and he as well won the Thorpe Longboat Trophy, but it was for paddling. He was a medalist at the Olympic Games.
Wow.
With Hugh Fisher. He won a gold and a bronze, I believe.
What was his first name again?
Alwyn Morris.
Alwyn.
Yes. Yeah. 2 medals, and he also won a Thorpe Longboat Trophy.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Did you get to speak with him much when you were growing up or anything?
Yeah. We worked together a lot.
Oh.
Like the paddling part, lacrosse. We did.
Did he play
I
lacrosse
did the sports
too,
briefly
bit, yeah.
in the minors.
Yeah.
But his passion was more paddling.
Was he about your age, or was he?
No, he's a little younger. He's,
a little younger.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. My cousin. Yeah, he's a little bit younger than I am. When he did win the gold medals, we prepared a parade for him here in town, but I sort of coordinated things, and I was a recreation person at the time, the recreation director, so that fell under my portfolio, I guess. We did that. There was another area where we worked on the NAIG, is North American Indigenous Games, for young athletes from all over, states and Canada. And he was instrumental in putting it together. He used to go to the meetings all over the place, British Columbia and the States, but I was on the home front. They gave me a gold, bronze, and a silver medal for what I was doing with Elwyn to organize the games. It wasn't for any particular sport, just a recognition that thank you for what you've done in organizing the Indigenous games. You know?
One thing I saw when reading about your history was your involvement as a sub-chief on council, and the building of the arena that became a place for lacrosse and other sports. But you were very involved in that process, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. In fact, it started when I was just a young fella. We used to have to go to Lachine, across the river here. We'd take a bus, and then he'd let us off at 6th Avenue, and the arena in Lachine was on 19th Avenue. Get off the bus, and we used to walk all those blocks to get to the arena, and we played in the church league at the time. So we didn't have to travel arena or town to town or anything. It was always in that one location. Huh. But over time, when we became more organized, we had to travel to other communities to get our ice. And we didn't really have a home as such. So I think at that point, or way back then, I felt the need for an arena in our community.
And you didn't have any indoor box either, did you?
No indoor box, no. Yeah. No. We had outdoor box, but then that was dependent on weather again.
Yes.
So it was an organization of parents who were interested in the same thing that I was. Let's build our own facility here. Let's do something. And so we started on a small scale, little fundraising stuff, pretty successful stuff. But it would have taken us forever to reach the goal of building that facility.
What would it have cost back then to build an arena?
I'm not sure if it was in the area of $2 million.
Really? So that was pretty big. That was in the 1990s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could have been a lot more, but in the research that we were doing as a committee, we looked at a facility that would take care of our ice needs, but also for lacrosse. So if we would have did the building that we looked at, it would have been not high enough for lacrosse.
Right.
So we had to have a higher roof, or a higher ceiling, sorry, to accommodate the lacrosse games that we were going to be playing.
Oh, okay.
So this was almost like Lachine. They had an arena where when you walk in the entrance, the ice level was down. You had to dig it out, put your ice down below, so you had a higher ceiling. And well, being on council at the time, it was kind of convenient to have the connections that I did with the council. Chief Norton was my buddy, and the rest of the council. It didn't take too much to convince them that we did need this facility.
What was the first sport played in the arena?
I'm not sure. I believe it might have been hockey.
Yeah?
I can't remember that exactly.
Is that time of year when it opened?
I believe so, yeah.
Yep.
But I'm not certain.
Okay, so how did you get the nickname Butch?
That was my family give me that name right from when I was a little
Rugrat?
yeah, and that's people still call me that. The ones that really know me, like I mentioned, my friend Roddy.
Yeah.
We grew up together. He still calls me Butch, and Skippy Norton. I played sports with him all the way up. He still calls me Butch. So my friends, teammates, and family still call me Butch.
So you've had a love of the game for a long time, and you coupled with Joe Carrot, and he was a left shot, you were a right shot. You both were very defense oriented.
That's right.
He did say you scored a fair amount as well. Apparently
that paid off because of all the practice that I did. It did pay off. I had a good shot. My mother wasn't too crazy about my practicing shooting the ball against the house, and I just kept bow, bow, bow all day long. I just kept shooting, and I actually broke some of the shingles or the siding on the house, but I got a good shot.
Every true lacrosse family has a story of a broken window or a broken siding.
Yeah, we had that too.
Or the garage with holes in it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That kind of thing. Yeah. But you and Joe made a great pair, and really he had learned from Big Al, the Buffalo.
Yeah, Big Al. Yeah,
Big Al
that his nickname. Yeah, one place we went there, we gave each other names. And that was his name, Big Al Buffalo. Yeah.
And who did you learn from?
I learned from my uncle. Well, all his friends that he used to play with took me on, and they didn't chase me away. You know, when they were practicing, I was there with them, and
you wanted to.
And they didn't chase me away. They took me under their wing.
Isn't that something when that happens?
Yeah. And guys like Big Al.
Yeah.
He gives a pass like a shot.
Yeah.
He doesn't
right
ease
there.
up. Put your stick there, he's going to put it in, and he whips it. So at the end of a practice, my pocket is like this, trying to catch his oh, yeah. And, well, there was
You had to trust him.
Yeah. Well, that's he was a good guy that sort of took me under the wing, too. And there's a few others that they're in their 80s, but they're not in the Hall of Fame or anything. But that's the guys I played with.
Wow. And you were a captain. You were an MVP. You had a lot of honors as a player.
Yeah, I wasn't doing it on purpose.
Just as a result of playing hard.
That was it. That's the way I like to play, and that's how I learned how to play this game. Whenever I went out there, that's what I did. I played the game hard as I could.
Talk about, you went to a President's Cup in Manitoba, Winnipeg in '76, I think.
Yeah. We didn't fare that well. We've always had good teams, and we usually tried to stay within the community with our players. Take home local guys, and that's we're going to win or lose with what we got. Yeah. But I know over time that some of the other teams were able to solicit some of the players from the senior A level, and come with us and we'll play the senior B championship. Okay, well, we didn't do that. We played senior B, and we stayed most of the time. We stayed with our own local guys. Yeah, win or lose, we were together.
In 1978, you went to the Commonwealth Games in Edmonton.
Yeah,
and you played. Tell us about that trip.
We did a little. Well, it wasn't very much. It was more of a demonstration, showing them how the sport is played. That was basically it. We just made two teams amongst ourselves, and there was enough guys there to put on a good demonstration.
That's with Six Nations guys as well?
I'm not sure if that's the one.
Oh.
I think we were alone on that one.
It's a Six Nations versus Kahnawake.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's right. Yeah, that
so they were part of that trip.
yeah.
And then there's something here about 1969 East-West.
That was, I think, the BC trip that we represented the East, and who was it? I forget the actual name of the team out west, but we played a series.
Like Nanaimo or Squamish? Or?
Yeah. I think we were in Squamish, so
Okay.
it may have been them.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. All right.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know about the commitment that a lot of iron workers made to maintaining their contact with the game and what it took to do that, because you guys worked all over the Northeast states, as you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
But you had games on the weekend back here in the Kahnawake area. And
Right.
So talk about what that was like.
Yeah, well, we used to travel to and from work on the weekends. Friday night, you leave New York. Well, just for example, New York. You leave New York, you get home around 11, 12 o'clock at night on Friday night. You're home for the weekend. Maybe Saturday, you got a lacrosse practice, game on Sunday night, and it's an away game. Okay, today we're going to Sherbrooke. It's an hour. Maybe a little better than an hour drive. Game starts at 8, finishes at around 10, 10:30. Jump back in the car again, head for home, pick up your suitcase, jump in another car, and then head out back to work. Like I said, maybe in this case, New York. So we're leaving here at around midnight. We call it a midnight run. And depending on how many, if we had 4 guys in the car, 2 guys in the car, depends on which job you're going to. So anyways, we changed drivers. One guy drives maybe up to Albany, then the other guy takes it in from Albany right into Brooklyn. You arrive in Brooklyn and 7 o'clock in the morning, all the guys are there. They all used to gather up at a restaurant. And then from there, you're decentralized to go to your jobs, different jobs, catch the subway. This guy takes his car, he goes to the job. So here, we get there at 7 o'clock in the morning, head out to the job, get there in time to go to work. So that was quite a long evening and a long night, and it's going to be a long day on Monday.
How many years did you do that?
Exactly.
Well, roughly. Yeah.
I'd have to say maybe about 5 years.
Really?
Yeah. Well, not continuous. This
Yeah.
was off and on, but that time period,
Yeah.
5 year, off and on. And it's summertime, so lacrosse is summer. So didn't have to do that in the winter.
So you might do that 12 weeks in a row or something like that?
No, not necessarily. It's not always a Sunday away game.
Okay.
And,
So,
it's
but
most
enough
of-
times that you remember.
Yeah. And well, these places that are close by, New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts, you're able to travel that in 6 hours, 8 hours.
Yeah.
Sometimes we didn't have to come back for maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks at a time. I worked in Detroit for a good time period, maybe 2-3 months, and we didn't come back. Maybe every 4 weeks we came back.
Oh, okay.
It was like maybe 10-hour trip.
Well,
So you're not going to do that on Friday night. 10 hours on Friday night and then
10 hours.
back. Yeah, so
Yeah, could do
we
it.
just stayed there and practiced lacrosse. Well, in fact, that's we ran into Lawrence Martin. You heard of Lawrence
I've
Martin?
heard that name.
Yeah, he was a good player for Augustine. Big, tall fella.
Yeah.
We met in a bar in Detroit, and we had our lacrosse sticks with us, and inside the bar, just fooling around. Roddy likes to tell this story. He said, but this Lawrence Martin, he smashed the jukebox. Oh boy.
Well, usually people do that when they've heard the same song played too many times.
No, this was an accident. Oh yeah, he was quite a player, Lawrence Martin. Yeah, I remember him.
So when you were at a job, for instance, like in New York, an iron working job, like how many guys might have played lacrosse that weekend somewhere? A few, or
Yeah, just a few.
Yeah.
A few, but I guess you would have to be more. You'd have more dedication and say, "Well, I'm going to play." That's how I really got started playing with the seniors. The guys had to go away to work, so they brought me up from a junior. I guess Eddie Delarone, the goaltender, Joe Carrot, same thing. They brought us up there because the guys had to go away to work. So it's how we got our initiation into the seniors.
Yeah, I talked with guys from Onondaga, and they had to make similar runs. You know, a little bit. You know, you're down in Syracuse area, so a little bit less.
Not as far, but
but the same kind of commitment.
Yeah,
I've heard that story. You know, story through them as well. Yeah, that's an amazing story because that's dedicated. Like you do hear of guys who play summer league. You know, in the States. And they have to make those trips on the weekend and get back in time, but they're not doing iron work. You know, they gotta sit in front of their desk and not fall asleep. You know, the next day. You know.
Yeah.
But you were fortunate because your son played, and then you have a grandchild who plays, right?
Yeah,
And, so
still.
you've seen a real.
I just no, I think it was my wife that found it for me, but I was looking for some stuff, memorabilia. And she came up with a little souvenir memento of a game. It says on there, Kahnawake versus the Green Gales. And the year was 2000. So I know that wasn't mine because I played the Green Gales back in the 60s, I think, at the end of the late 60s or early 70s. So I knew that wasn't my medal. But it was my my son who played against the Green Gales in Junior B. And in the year 2000, he must have been about 17 or 18 at the time. So that's my son.
I've been up at Kahnawake and I've seen the outdoor box that they played in, and that played a role in the crisis, as they called it. And what. You had some attachment to the crisis in some way, or?
Yes, I did. In fact, there was a few issues that came up at the time that stressed me out quite a bit.
Did it? What year was that roughly?
That was in 1990.
They right around the time you're.
They called that the Oka crisis.
Yes,
And I think it was just when the Oka thing started. That was in July, and or August, and we had just had our elections. So I had just gotten in council for my 5th term.
Oh, okay.
Or was it the 6th? Yeah, my last term. And I did not run again in 92 because of the stress that
That was a very volatile time for.
It was. I was involved in some food runs where we were trying to bring trucks of food in. And,
oh my Lord!
And we had Army with machine guns and whatever on APCs there, like a tank.
Yeah.
They were on there, and
you had to drive food up.
They were trying to bring food into the community.
Yeah, people don't really understand how that was. I had a stick maker up there, Travis Gabriel, show me the area. He showed me some trees with some bullet holes.
Right outside here, the tracks. You see the tracks right here at the light. Right there is where the Army were set up. I'm not sure if it was all Army. I think
even here.
Right here, yeah. And my brother passed away at that time.
Oh.
And he was at the mortuary, I guess, the undertakers, and they were bringing him back to Kahnawake so he could be laid out.
Yeah.
These people wouldn't let them pass.
So even
They
though you were
stopped.
down here in Kahnawake, that
We
was
still the army was here.
even as well.
Yes,
Okay, I did
yes.
not know that. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me get to something. Okay, lacrosse has always been a game that's brought people together
Right.
from outside the community with the community. Did that have some sort of role afterward?
They wouldn't come to Kahnawake. They refused to let us play in the league. They would not come to our arena.
That first year, huh?
Yeah, that's how difficult it was. I had to beg, plead, whatever. Come on, let's, it's over.
Yeah.
The kids didn't have anything to do with what was going on.
Right.
Let's let them play, leave them alone.
Yeah.
No, so it was a good one season, maybe even a little more before it got a little better. It
Right.
wasn't fully.
lot of
back to normal, but we were getting there.
So the lacrosse here, was that played against non-native communities?
Yeah, it carried over a little bit into the, I just spoke with Cambria
Yeah.
on his way out, and he said he's still anxious whenever he passes through here, stemming back to
Isn't that something?
our competitions when
Yeah.
we were playing lacrosse.
Yeah.
It's he still gets afraid to come here.
But that wasn't around that time, was it? That was like a
No, that
different.
was
That was different.
before.
Yeah,
Yeah, it just had a reputation, I guess. That,
Yeah, tough place to play.
yeah.
I see some of the fellows you talk about playing with that you thought were great players, and maybe you could say a little bit about these guys. Well, how about Johnny Davis?
John Davis.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember he was a remarkable player.
Yeah.
he was. He played for several teams in the area, and I think he played with us one time. And great player.
He
was
kind of
amazing.
stayed around Montreal, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, from what I know, because we interviewed him a few years ago,
Yeah.
and he was mentioning he was in Vermont, in Montreal, and that kind of thing. And then Travis Cook.
Travis, I played with and against him.
Didn't he have like one of the hardest shots around?
Yeah, he was tough.
Yeah, big guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, big tall guy.
tough.
Pidgey Norton, a little
Pidgey?
bit. What was he like? What was
man.
Pidgey like?
Pidgey was a great player for Kahnawake. He was. He had moves. He had a shot. He was a smart player.
Yeah.
He was always like maybe one step ahead of the other guy.
Oh, is that right? You really
Yeah.
could see the game, huh?
Oh yeah. He's heads up player. Knows where.
He wasn't that big a guy, was he?
No, he wasn't.
He's just big, he's broad.
But he was solid, like a fire hydrant.
Yeah,
But
like a
that
fire
was,
hydrant.
Yeah.
And then obviously you knew Louis DeLille very
Louis.
well. Played with Louis
We-
a long time. And,
Oh yeah, junior right through even the senior Bs, up even into the old sticks. We played
and then, obviously a name everybody knows, Gaylord Paulus.
Gaylord Paulus. Yes.
And tell us a
that
little bit
was-
about
Well,
Gaylord. Did you cover him? Did you?
I don't recall, not at that time, because I didn't know enough at that time. But I think Louis is the one that corrected me on it. We played them in Chateauguay at a brand new arena, Maple Arena, he said. And at the time, we had lost 29-0.
To them?
To them, yeah. And he was the star. You just couldn't beat that guy. He was the best junior A player in the world.
Now
Yeah.
I've seen pictures of him and heard this story. He would wear knee braces more as protection than actually needing them for the the knees.
Prevention instead
Yeah,
of
prevention instead of protection.
yeah,
I mean, or protection. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But he wore those because people were checking him and
Yeah, well, that's you got to do. You got to do what you got to do. Yeah,
slow the guy down a bit,
protect
yeah.
yourself.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, there's a few other fellows that I don't. Yeah, you didn't say them, but
Okay.
Mikey Benedict was.
Okay. Mike Benedict.
He had a shot that he was hard to cover. He run across. When they gave him the ball, he's running across, and then he's taking the goalie with him, and then he's cutting back. His shot is back on the
Back
other
on the
side.
far post.
And you couldn't stop him. It's
Goalie
he
had
was
to
a
move.
speedy little,
Yeah.
yeah, and he was speedy. He,
Yeah.
little guy like this, but he ran like the wind. Yeah. One guy that I admired for his tenacity, I guess you'd call it. It's Peter Burns.
Peter Burns.
I think he's in the hall. He had a little handicap.
Yeah, I've heard about him.
This is the way.
Yeah, I've heard
This is
about
the
him.
way he played,
Yeah.
and he was a hard man to stop.
Really? Yeah.
My thumbs took a beating when I was playing against him. He like this, eh? And trying to check him. A lot of times, my thumbs were back.
How big was this guy?
He wasn't all that big, but we weren't either. Like I was like maybe 180, 185. This guy had to be over 220 maybe or something like that.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I'm pretty sure. He was old, an older fella.
Yeah.
And he had a solid man's body.
Yes, yes.
I had a kid's body.
Yes. Yeah, I understand. Yeah. There's a difference.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and well, I admired him for what he was able to do,
Yeah.
even though he had this little impediment, or I
He
don't
was
know what
trying
you
to
would
deal
call
with
it.
Yeah. And how
There's a couple others too
Delormier or
a couple others that I recall that had some kind of an affliction or whatever.
Yeah, had to
I
deal
think
with certain-
Scott Thomas, I think his name was. He couldn't hear.
really?
And he used to play with us.
Wow.
Senior B,
Wow.
senior B lacrosse for Aguasasne.
Wow.
Yeah, he was deaf. Yeah.
And you can imagine, like, we do rely on our hearing in that game.
Yes.
Like people calling out for the ball and you know, whistles from the referee and
Right,
on and on,
right.
right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
Just
And
even
I
the ball
admire-
going off the boards, like hearing that.
I admire what he was doing with that little impediment that he had. There was one guy, I think he played with Joe Cambria.
Yeah.
He had no hand. He used to play one hand. I think he was missing from there down.
Is that right?
So this was, and he used to play. He was a darn good player. He made a senior B team. So
There was a guy, Dave White, who had a hand problem because he got in an accident when he was a kid.
I think so.
And
yeah.
he really overcame that
Yeah.
situation, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it's amazing how they can still play and the passion that they had, that they want to play.
Yeah, you mentioned Wally Deer.
We played softball, we played hockey, we played lacrosse together, and what a talented fella that guy is. Deer, he used to run like a deer. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
he's quite a player, and he made it to the hall, maybe 2014, something like that.
Did you play some minor lacrosse? I know there wasn't much around, right, when you were younger?
No,
and
it
then
was pick up and
pick up.
yeah.
And then it was junior where you got to.
Junior, really, yeah. Midget and junior.
Midget and
Midget,
junior.
not that much, but in junior, that's where we really got organized and we start playing competitive.
And how big a radius did you travel to play games for
Oh,
junior?
it was more local. Valleyfield, it's maybe 45 minutes west. Montreal, East End with, well, wasn't that far. It's 45-minute trips. It's
Now, Joe Carruth said he got to play in the Montreal Forum. Did you ever get to see any of that, or was that passed by the
No,
time?
I seem to remember being at these games, but I can't remember if I was dressed. There was guys at the time. Jacques Plante was a goaltender for Montreal.
Wow.
They tried to bring him out for his name to get
crowd.
Lacrosse, get the crowd and get people into the game. And then the same thing with John Ferguson too.
Ferguson.
Yeah, they did the same thing with him. He used him. He used to play lacrosse anyways.
Yeah.
So, I know I did go there and practice, but I'm not sure if I played there.
Yeah, you're a bit younger than Joe Carrada,
Yeah.
who actually played there. But,
But
But you got to see the size of the crowds there. We used to be big crowds.
oh yeah.
And,
Well, they were sizable for lacrosse. It's not like your Montreal Canadiens hockey.
Right.
That's 20,000.
Yeah, right.
This was
That's the old Forum too. It was smaller.
the old Forum. Right? Yeah.
And then they moved to Verdun, the arena.
Yeah.
And you probably got to play at that. arena.
I played at Verdun. I played in LaSalle. I played in Lachine. We played at 2 arenas in Chateauguay. We played where else? I think Lewis was saying that we did play games in Valleyfield. That was our opponent's arena, but I guess for the time being, at that time, that was going to be our home ice or home arena. So, yeah, we were all over.
So you got to see all over. And,
Yeah.
well, Walter, who are some of the coaches that you remember that you played under that you feel like you learned something from?
Well, first of all, he's in the Hall of Fame now, the Ontario Hall of Fame. It's Earl Lafleur. I played for him when I was just a young junior, and he was handling the senior team. My first assignment that he gave me was he just said, watch that guy. Don't let him, I think I put it in my story, don't let him get away. If he goes to the bathroom, you be there to wipe his butt. Don't let him go. So all I ever did was watch. I guess he was the #1 player on the other team.
Okay.
So all I did was run with him, run. So I was getting a lot of floor time. That's probably where I got a lot of my experience.
His name was Earl Lafleur?
Earl Lafleur, yeah.
Okay, Lafleur.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that was my assignment. So after watching these Class A players all the time, number 9, number 14,
Yeah.
I started getting a lot of experience, and that's because of him. He said, you watch those guys. After that, he said, don't worry about the ball. The other guys will take care of the ball. You just watch that guy and don't let him get the ball.
Yeah.
So that's what I did.
Nice. Who else besides Earl?
Earl, well, you had Billy Rivers. Billy coached us for a while. He was a good coach. Humorous. Yeah.
For people that didn't know Billy, he was famous.
He was a wrestler in England.
Wow.
Yeah, and,
Pro wrestler.
He had he was he had a good reputation over there. And I guess that's why he stayed there.
Yeah.
I think he wrestled here locally for a little bit, but I think he was really welcomed out in England.
Wow.
Yeah, he was a good coach. And the last coach that I had in the seniors was Chief Norton. He was the Grand Chief for several years, 1978 till, I think he passed away 2 years ago or last year.
For Kahnawake.
He was the Grand Chief for all that time. Mike Mitchell and him were like this.
They were, huh?
Yeah. And he was our coach for a few years. We won a couple of league championships. He was good coach, Joe Norton. Yeah.
And this game, it took you around. You got to see some things, and you got to play with some great people.
I sure did.
Your son and grandson, who, it must be nice to see that line.
Well, yep. I'd like to see a bigger output of lacrosse, and it is coming, but it's going rather slow. But building lacrosse to a higher level in Kahnawake.
Yeah. Are you still involved in any way, shape, or form with like a management or admin?
No.
You passed that.
After I did my old sticks, I've sort of just dropped the whole thing. I go to games once in a while and watch the younger guys, the
Yes.
grandchildren and stuff like that. But I've lost the passion, I guess.
Yeah.
My passion is golf.
Did you ever play any Masters at all, or any of that? Or
No, I just played.
you got injured, didn't you? Like that?
Yeah. It's I had a meniscus in junior. I lost 4 teeth.
Did you?
No masks at the time. And
Okay.
I think we just started wearing helmets.
Oh,
cross check right.
Oh.
4 teeth right in the front. My thumbs, I told you a while ago.
Yeah.
That's
So when you got your final injury, that kind of got you to hang it up.
that was it. Yeah, I did a little old sticks, but there wasn't that much. We didn't have to run as fast, and it wasn't
The same.
It wasn't quite the same. So I was able to handle the old sticks. But after that, golf became my favorite, and
Right.
I put my time in there.
Well, Walter, I'm going to leave you with a chance to say whatever last word you want about the game or about your experience. Or
I'd like to see Quebec with a program similar or better than Ontario's. It's going to be hard to match Ontario. They got everything, and the Hall of Fame. I'd like to see us here with a Hall of Fame in Quebec for lacrosse, but lacrosse isn't big enough to have a Hall of Fame. So, that type of thing, though. If we could mirror Ontario's lacrosse programs, man, I think we'd be doing great. Yeah.
very good. Thank you very much, Walter.
Yeah, thank you, sir.